I have two questions, if that's possible.
Oh.
When you're ready. Okay. Tēnā kōrua, ngā mihi mō tō kōrero mai, and for your work in your document here. I guess mine are just process questions. When I was reading through, I saw there was mention of 17 marae in the Heretaunga area. And then I was reading another part, it referred to, I think, 10 marae and 2 land trusts.
Yep.
So I just wanted to check who's covered by this plan, your
Okay,
plan.
so in setting up this Heretaunga Nui, we wanted to have a marae hapu sign-off agreement to know that these bodies would actively engage, they would participate, scheduled meetings and attend. And of course, you know, there's a lot of meetings that are going on at most times. But I just want to assure you that the Te Heretaunga Nui sits right alongside of Te Tai Whenua o Heretaunga, which constitute the full composition of the board. So only those that wanted to participate on a consistent basis, and we drew up a little bit of a kawa, an expectation of what this group should do and how they should you know, say people when they went back out to their own marae and hapu, well, this is what we do. And so to answer your question in a short way, it was just there for those that wanted to participate on that committee. Okay?
And my second question, I know throughout, in a few places in the plan, there's reference to the PSGE, and
Yes.
granted that was being developed at the time you were doing the plan, but I didn't see He Tō Takatini mentioned in the structure diagram. I just wondered where you see He Tō Takatini sitting, because we have Kahangungu as an iwi authority, and we'll have He Tō Takatini as an iwi authority as well. So just wanted your guidance on that.
Well, my understanding was that He Tō Takatini, like most LNGs, had an interim life and would turn in, chrysalis into a PSGE. So it was predicated on that particular change and transformation, knowing that, one, I'm sure it's in the document made very clear as our presentation, this is based on a treaty relationship. You people, our whānau that are here participating on behalf of your respective people, represent that outcome. And so there may be a name change to what that PSG may come up with. There may be 2, maybe 1, we just don't know. And so what's important is that is premised on the arrival of a PSGE. Is that okay?
Councillor Scott.
Yeah, I'd just like to take Ms Hopman's questions a bit further. Kia ora down, kia ora Mari. Thank you very much for this. It's a document we've looked forward to for a long time, and it's great to have it on the table now. Just being totally practical and trying to think of how we take it into account, which we are required to under the Act. Am I correct then that it is the document that represents 17 marae within the Heretaunga area?
You want to make, well, rather than hear it from me, hear it from our chairman over there if you want to.
Thank you, Mike.
Kia ora tātou. Hei, te tau kia pēo Walter, kia ora te whera tātou hui, me te ingoe ki tātou atua. Kia ora, Sir. Councillor Scott. So just into your question, and so there are 17 marae that are in the tribal boundary of Heretaunga. So those are the 17 that I mentioned, and as Mare said, 10 of those 17 participated within the Manaki Taiao document and the hui that took place leading up to those. We can only speak for those that took part, and that's all we profess to do. I hope that answers your question.
Sort of. We do have a happy management plan from Kaupatiki, and I noticed that you did refer to Kaupatiki earlier. So they were not one of the 10.
They do not sit in the Heretaunga tribal
in the
boundary.
Heretaunga, no.
Yep.
And just to also be very clear that 3 of those marae are in the Taihape district, and it's all part and parcel to this claims area of interest definition stuff we're going through.
And can I just take that question just one step further? When we went back, because Dale, you did refer to, and Mara, you did too, to the years that we looked at the model, that one of the considerations was working with the other Tai Whenua. Will this be the template that you see will go out to other tai whenua as enabling them to come up with plans.
Do you wanna-
We did
You go first, I'll
actually
go
talk
second.
about this as a region-wide
Absolutely.
template, so perhaps you could just clarify for us where to next.
From our point of view, we don't feel that we've had offers, we've had one tai whenua say, just change the names and we'll adopt this. And it doesn't work like that, because then their marae and hapu won't own it. So, but what we're planning to do, and what we've been asked to do, is to take how we went about doing it and taking this framework to them and offering them to develop their own, and we'll sit with them through the whole process if they would like. It's certainly a framework or a template that we're happy for them to use, but they really have to still do it themselves in order to own it. Yeah.
Councillor Pipe.
Kia ora. Excellent document. Thank you very much, Murray and Dale, and to the tai whenua as well in presenting this. I'm just following up on what Christine was saying and looking at the number of marae. I just want clarification in my mind. You mentioned one urban marae, but there is also an urban marae in Napier, Pukemokimoki, and that is not Te Aranga.
Yep.
Is mentioned here, but not Pukemokimoki. What's the status there, and is there any reason?
Sure. There's been quite a bit of... Te Aranga marae is not a traditional mana whenua marae. Te Aranga marae has come as an aspiration on behalf of the mana whenua to manaaki those other iwi that reside in our area. When you have something like 55% of your total population that are from other waka, it's been for 30 years the aspiration of our kaumātua to make a place for them. And saying that, they don't have any treaty rights relevant to this area. Okay, but it's been out of the desire of our board to include them onto the wider board, but they don't participate when it comes to mana whenua issues. That's clear. Do you see the relationship of why that's come about?
Yeah, I do. With regards to, is that you're talking with regards to Te Aranga?
With Te Aranga
Okay.
marae. I mean,
Pukemokimoki is
clarify that, but that's how...
different type. Yeah.
I think the question you're asking, Dave, why are they not included with, this is Pukemokimoki, within the document? They sit outside the Heretaunga tribal boundaries once again.
Councillor Bevan.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the document. I read it with a great deal of interest a couple of times. My question relates to the status, the legal status, if you like, of this document, because I look at the recommendations that are before this committee, which says that we receive the presentation and that we acknowledge the role of Manaaki in the Greater Heretaunga Ahuriri policy development process under the Resource Management Act, but it doesn't ask us to adopt it, or it doesn't recommend that we recommend the adoption of this document to any other body, including the Regional Council. So I'm a bit at a loss as to what the legal status of this document is, if somebody can explain. I'm not sure whether it should be you or whether it should be Helen or somebody.
Yep. So under the RMA, iwi management plans are recognised as iwi management plans if they've been recognised by an iwi authority. So it really, the process is that if an iwi management plan is developed, it gets recognised or endorsed or approved by the iwi authority. In this case, it was Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi Incorporated, and then it has status. It doesn't need to come to us to be recommended as a document that we will recognise it. We must, under the RMA, if it's gone through that process, then it is a document which has status.
So it's just a document we merely need to receive for it to have status.
We don't even need to receive it to have status. This is an opportunity.
But obviously it's helpful
to
if we
present
do.
It. Yes. So certainly as part of the plan development processes, this committee has to be satisfied that it has taken into account relevant iwi management plans, and so through that process for the tank catchments, for example, or plan change, we need to use this document, as Dale said, as a starting point to understand what this is their aspirations, this is their starting points, and have that conversation. So that's why we're developing the engagement plan for that process to say, well, okay, how do we go through the plan development, policy development process, having regard to the Manaaki principles within that. So it's as Dale says, it's the start of the process. It hasn't got all the answers. We still need to say, well, okay, how do we then recognise and provide for and take it into account in our final policies? But it's got status.
Good.
Just on that, we do have to fill out a form to formally lodge it with the council. We've done that. So I guess that's part of the formal
The process.
still to be done, and then it's official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, with your indulgence, I'd just like to make one more comment. There were several questions asked during the course of this discussion about how many marae participated in the creation of this document. And just looking at the map, which is part of it, it might be helpful perhaps if you had a more detailed map that set out the
Oh, we actually
if
have,
that's possible.
Yeah, no worries. In
Yeah.
fact, we've had it sitting around for the last 10, 20 years. Should have
Right.
put it in there. So it gives a pretty fixed
Yeah.
location, which would bring up the ones that don't sit in sit in Taihape.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Yeah,
see
that,
it
that,
for
that
it
would
is.
be a really helpful addition to the document.
Councillor Barker.
I've got two questions, one to Marae and one to, I think, you, Chair. The first one is that I want to say that I welcome the document. I think it's a fantastic start. And preface that by saying that I see it as a start. When I read the document, I think this should be taking me further and down a more detailed track later on.
Yep.
And that's sort of hanging over me. So I'd like you to respond to how do you see the next steps and how does this take us further?
Sure.
And my then question is to Fenton, is that we have this document here with a very specific area. It would seem to me sensible and the right thing to do for the council to engage across the rest of its region with others and be supportive and so on, as we have done for this. And what are our plans for that? Not only to get everybody else onto a similar start, but also to help them make the journey further down the road, as I think this document tells us it wants to go.
Geez, what was the question again? The next step. Absolutely. Look, it's premised on managing the mana motuhake of each of the individuals, and it's just happened that they all agreed to come together at this point together, and so the obligation for us, and we've been chipping away individually now. So the bulk of the work that you see that's contained, particularly around environmental issues, have come from those marae, and it's now about a conversation that we're having with the marae hapu and saying what specifically are urgent priorities or issues from an environmental perspective that you would like to apply some kind of management approach. And so, as you would appreciate, Rick, each marae hapu on that map that Peter was alluding to prize their own maunga, prize their own aua, prize their own streams, and it's about having the ability to put, as we do with a number of projects that we have with council, the Peka Peka management plan, all of those things are now starting to be talked about. So those are the next steps. We're working with Manaai now, and honestly, I don't know where we got that figure 30 from per year. Geez, it's just over ambitious, high expectation. We're finding that we are engaging 3 months to 3 to 4 months with a marae just to get the conversation finished. And so I hope that sort of answers, yep, we are zooming right back down into that point. We are individually starting to pick up each of the marae, and we'll be doing that along the same lines as we will entertain going over to the District Council in relation to what the authority of that particular aspect of the RMA, LGA, has an impact on the marae and hapu. So that's another part of the story that will. The other thing is too, when we go, we've built up a pretty good resource here of tools. So around plans, we can come out with a little bit of credibility in knowing that we've completed CIA, CVUs. We're taking from this body to create tools for our marae and hapu in terms of, what do we call those, short-term agreements. So if this has not been a dead bit of work, we're pulling from it, we're adding to it.
That's my point.
Yeah,
I'm wanting to see the next steps.
yeah, it's about localising it.
Yeah.
what's in here, the values are the shared values that you could take just about anywhere and you'd find that they're shared. The minute you start looking at a district or an area, there's other values, like Mare said, Peka Swamp and things like that. So that's what a next step is, to localise it.
And, yeah, absolutely. And I will get to that shortly. Just welcome Councillor Belford and just advise you, just so you're aware that we're filming today's meeting. So Council's filming it. And to answer your question, I think the key, what we've heard all meeting on this so far, is the collaborative nature, which is unique, and it comes down to ownership at the end of the day. So there is a variety of plans throughout the region, wide or I'm not so sure about Central Hawke's Bay, possibly before my time. But I think the critical factor of this is everyone woke up one day and said, crikey, if we do this together, we go a long way, and they certainly have. So I share your desire to have more engagement of this nature with other hapu throughout the region. Certainly the treaty processes may help that. But yeah, I think the eureka moment was when they decided to come together. And I think that is the template. And in fact, I would urge you guys to, in dealing with anyone else, to be proud of this document and put it out there, because that is what can be done if everyone pulls together. So.
Yeah. Kia ora tātou. First off, congratulations on your document, and also the point you raised about the cost of litigation. I think it's a relevant one, and our money as a council is better spent on environmental or economic projects rather than issues that are a result from our inability to talk to each other. So there are two functions of the regional council. One is resource management issues. The other is the economic development side of things, and I see your document's a bit light on that other part. So, yeah, that's work in progress. Yeah.
That's Manahaki too.
Kia ora koutou. Kia ora koutou. O puta mai tēnei kōrero, ki roti tēnei rōpū. Tēnā koutou, mō koutou, moi moia. Mō koutou, tūmanako. Mō te iwi katoa, e hara noi ho mō te Heretaunga. Engari rai ki mai te pepa nei, koe nei ngā whakaro ngā moi ā o Heretaunga. No reira tēnā koutou mō koutou whakaro. Like the rest of our table, yeah, I'm impressed on this attempt to portray the wishes and aspirations of Heretaunga Hapu whānau. I can't be more than impressed with your presentation, because within me, and I think in the wider Maori community, you are saying the same things that we want to say. Taking up what Councillor Barker has said, where do we head with this? Yeah, watch this space. It's going to be an exciting journey. I once said in one of our workshops at a local marae here that the face of local authority is going to change. And this is it. This is the beginning. No longer will be the only considerations. Economic development is one thing, but the people that get left out of that economic development needs some consideration, and that's what this document is pointing out. But certainly receive, endorse, adopt, I'm not quite sure of the word, that this policy planning committee, the minimum requirement would be to receive. How it goes through in the future, I mean, we're only beginning on a journey, and the face of local government will change so considerably because of that influence. I mean, have we, within our management structure of the regional council, have the capacity within staff, within our staff, to grab and grasp the essence of this document? So that's the beginning. Do we need to ask the managers within their specific areas, have they got the capacity, Mr. Chairman, within their staffing
Shall we find
to
out?
understand it? Otherwise, this document is just going to go and sit there and gather dust on a shelf.
Kia ora.
So I'd like to urge that this planning committee receive this document, and I'm not quite sure, Mr. Chairman. I'll move that this document be received.
Thank you. Just short, we'll answer your question though, which we got to.
Well, I think
We've got the capacity. Have we got the
have we got
capacity?
the
to-
capacity. I think with any document like this, it's useful for staff to be taken through it and understand it. And we have had discussions with Dale about coming to the council and doing presentations or workshops to the staff so that we are fully conversant of what it contains and how it is expected to be used. And it will be a learning journey. So there is some training for us to happen as well.
So you're happy to move
Yes.
the recommendations as in the paper?
Yes.
You happy to second? Thank you. You've had a chat. You wish to speak further?
Well, for me, it is a beginning, Mr. Chairman, and the beginning is to receive. And it would give some incentive to other regions and other hapu whānau to progress their planning and their planning documents. But to look at it in any other way, like adoption, that would be, taking it that all of hapu whānau will be a part of this document. But I don't think it's fair on the rest of the region hapu whānau that this should be placed on them as a requirement. Not at this stage. I don't think that that's fair on any other hapu whānau. I do think that from Heretaunga, kia ora tātou, kia ora rata.
Kia ora. Seconder, you wish to speak?
Thank you. It's always a hard act to follow when you're following Walter. I'll keep it short. I just want to really congratulate everyone involved in this, Mari, Dale, and especially the chair. I think it's a fantastic document. I think following Councillor Barker's thoughts and lots of other people's thoughts around here, that it is a beginning, and it's a beginning not just as a document, which is a living thing, but it's a beginning in a new relationship for Heretaunga Whenua and its wider maraes and us. Before I go, I would just like to thank you for involving Te Ranga at the discussion level, and we understand where we fit, but you've always been open and wonderful in that relationship, so thank you very much, because we are the only urban marae in this region, so just want to give my thanks for that too. I thought it's a marvellous document. Thanks.
Other speakers? Nigel.
Kia ora Māori. Kia ora Gail. Congratulations on your document. Much needed, long time in waiting, and this may be the thing that, as it's been said, to spark us all off, get us on the right track. The only issue that I wanted to raise with you, and I just sort of foresee it maybe as something that might come back and bite you later, out of the hapu that support you, the ones standing on the outside
Mhm.
that you've obviously offered to
Mhm.
come in as well, do they constitute in your mind a large natural grouping also? The ones standing outside?
I'm not even too sure what the definition of large natural group is when you apply it to
Okay.
Marae and Hapu. They are both large natural, but yeah, no. And
Yeah.
so what's unnatural about an LNG is that you're clumped together by someone else.
That's right.
But just to kind of, and for the purposes of achieving a settlement, and that's really, really important, so I don't want to demeanour that. I just want to also say that some have got to a point where they're saying, thank you, Tai Whenua, we can take care of this ourselves, we've got all the brains and we're developing plans. But we've also had intermittent, like they come and go
Yep.
and amongst the process as well. So we've got an open door philosophy, and just to say that they've chosen that decision themselves. Whether or not they can stand up to a test to be an LNG, well, that's not for me to answer you. I think that would be the Crown. But look, at this point in time, we're nearing, as you would all know, nearing the completion of the second phase, which is the AIP, which means that it bounds everyone together. But I just want to also say that Te Aranga Marae, there's always been an open door policy. The sort of rules that impact on Te Aranga and its community are no different to mana whenua. That's my view, and I think that there'll be a future conversation around that.
I'd just like to add a wee bit to that. While we have 10 marae that regularly come and sit on the Heretaunga Nui and a couple of land trusts, when we rolled this out, we rolled it out to everybody, and the invitation has always been there to come and sit on board. But on the Tai Whenua board is every marae, and the Tai Whenua board supports the Heretaunga Nui and the Tai Whenua, and Te Manaki Tai on what we do. In fact, they support it because they're governing the Tai Whenua and they need somebody to do this side of the work
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
And so they endorse everything, and that's all the marae on that board. So in a way, you do cover everybody by the support that comes from the Tai Whenua board.
You certainly don't want another phoenix rising out of the fire later on, do you?
No.
No.
Just remind, kia ora, just remind members if you can get your questions in early, because once we get it moved and seconded, we're into the debate and then we're on to the next item. So, and I thought it was important to understand the request. Any other speakers?
Just one, I hope we have, as a council, turned a page with this document, because Ngāti Pāwera in 1992, we submitted our iwi management plan. Ronga Maiwane submitted theirs. They got lost somewhere. They filed, I think, in the rubbish bin. So, hopefully, yeah, we are...
Backups.
We acknowledge them today, and I want them acknowledged tomorrow.
The good thing
No, we're good, Dale. Other speakers?
Kia ora, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations. It's been a 20-year job. Nice to see it over. The piece I wanted to raise for council, and I started before, is that eventually there will be the Heretaunga Tamatea Settlement Trust, an Act of Parliament. And if it follows Pāwera's Act, it will recognise them as a iwi for the RMA purposes. That's what's written in Toroa's Act. So the same could happen with us. We don't know. It's the same marae, it's the same people, it's the same everything. It's just the legal status changes a little. So we'll still be doing the same work the same. Council needs to be aware of that, and it would pop up probably over a year's time, year and a quarter. So kia ora.
I'm going to draw the conversation to a close there. Plenty of other things to talk about this afternoon. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Carried. And I thank you very much for a fantastic presentation and gratefully received. Kia ora.
Kia ora everybody, kia ora tātou.